Good morning, Mr. Eduardo Gonzalez. How are you, my teacher? Today I have the opportunity to talk about my lesson plan number 15, designing for the school that in this time doesn't apply. But before to talk about my lesson plans, the lesson plans I have 10 steps. They are broken up in 10 steps. In a few words, they have a beginning, a middle, and the end of the class. I mean, before class, during class, and after the class. The first step is the informative data. So the theme is the past perfect tense. For second grade of baccalaureate, I will be teaching for 45 minutes, and the proficiency level is B1.1. Now the top teaching English as a foreign language objectives. That's the second step, and the learners will be develop 4 skills. They are the listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So all the activities has a main goal. For example, a specific goal. For example, for the listening, students will be able to identify and follow instructions focused on past perfect tense. For speaking, students will be able to explain the relationship between tense and verbs. Now for the reading, they will define the past perfect verb tense. And for writing, my students will be able to identify and form past perfect verbs. Now let's see what we have for the first step. Let's continue. Now to accomplish these objectives, I create some methodology and strategy. Well, no, I not create because I'm not create. I just choose. For the methodology, I will combine the text-based learning and the direct method. Text-based learning is when they have to do a test, but they don't have to worry about the mistakes. No, not too much. The direct method is just using English, no translation. Now the strategies, I will work with the students first. They will work in a whole class. Everyone is working now to share experience with each other and with me. Then they will work with will be working with their classmate. That means a pair work. And then for the individual work to know their comprehension of the topic. Let's continue with the 4th step, the anticipatory set. Here the teacher use a blackboard, and he has to draw a timeline on the board of the day yesterday to introduce the past tense and be able to visualize the idea of one event happening before another. When I drop the line on the board, I will mark with the hours on the day. And then I will write phrases in different places on the timeline, or place, sentence, strips about things what I make. So I will encourage my students to form sentences about what they did using the past perfect tense and the past simple form. For example, Brittany, what have you done yesterday? Dario, what have you eaten yesterday? Something like that. Now we have the 5 step. The 5 step is the main teaching input. I want to create a nice environment, placement environment, a nice and beautiful or a nice environment for my students. So here I was starting class by having students think of the they did the day before. For example, what time did you wake up? What did they do next? So this kind of activities. Then I have students make a counting of their day in their notebooks using the marks. They can use this model. For example, 6:30, woke up, 6:45, shower, 7, ate breakfast, and finally we will discuss the evidence briefly. I will guide my students to the conclusion that they all happening in the past because this is the topic. The timeline of the yesterday, because this is exercise aimed to accomplish the objectives. I will introduce the past perfect tense and be able to see the idea of one event happening before another. I will try a timeline on the board marked with the hours of the day. That's very important in a timeline. Then I would write phrases in different places on the timeline using my board, or place sentence strips about things that I did. This is this emphasized to encourage my students to form sentences about what they did. And of course, using this topic, using the past perfect and the past simple. Now we will have now the 6 steps modeling. Here I will write on the board the past perfect formula. See? Because we will see the grammar here. We have to focus and study the grammar to be able to create sentences. So this formula is very important for the students. The formula for the past tense is had plus past participle. It doesn't matter if the subject is singular or plural, the formula doesn't change. It's always the same. When to use the past perfect. So let's see what's the difference between past perfect and simple tense. Some students get confused with that. For example, when you are talking about some point in the past and want to reference an event that happened even early, using the past perfect allows you to convey the consequence of the event. It's also clearer and more specific. Consider the difference between two sentences. For example, we were relieved that tools use washable paint. The second example, we were relieved that tools had used washable paint. Now that I made the modeling, it's time for a guide practice. Let's see the 7th step. For the 7th step, based on the picture, use this past tense sequences worksheet for students, so sequential past tense events. I will be using the past tense and the past perfect prepared, but the stories pictures in the sequence. I have to put pictures. I mean to create a sequence. Then I will write captions using the past simple and past perfect tense. Now the number 8 is about the independent terses. Now they can do by their own. They can do by themselves the exercise to see how they are learning, how they are doing. So according to the pictures first, decide which action happening first, and they have to decide what's the first action, and they have to number them 1 or 2 in the circles. Then they have to describe the pictures in one sentence and then write it under in the pictures. Use past perfect and simple past. And past simple. I'm sorry. Number 9, assessment. According to the worksheet that I gave to my students, students have to put each sentence and verbs into past simple, and into simple past and past simple. Simple past and past perfect. I'm sorry, simple past and past perfect. Finally, looking over the class about this topic, I have to check my students how, if they have any problems, what specific parts they need feedback. So it's a good way to create this 10 step. It's about closing, review, and follow up. So by using the grammar stated on the poster, I will make a review to all the class. And to create this class, I use this supplementary material. I use posters, pictures, worksheets to help my students with their comprehension about the past perfect tense. These posters are very helpful. And I use these supplementary materials to help them to develop their multiple intelligence. Because in one class we have not only one intelligence, we have many as visuals, spatial, kinesthetic, and so on. This is the poster that I choose to work with my class. Common regular verbs in the past perfect tense. We have in the first column we have the infinitive. In the second column we have the past perfect. And then in the third column we have the negative form. For example, in the first form we have these verbs: to ask, to work, to call, to use. The past perfect: had asked, had worked, had called, had used. And for the negative form: had not asked, had not worked, had not called, had not used. And this worksheet is about common irregular verbs in the past perfect tense. One more time, we have the infinitive, past perfect, and negative. These are the pictures. For example, this guy is, if we see this picture, this guy is waking up. It's 7:54 a.m. Maybe he's late for his class to go to school. And this is another worksheet. Here the students first they have to decide which action happening first and number them 1 or 2 in their cycles, and then they have to describe the picture in one sentence and write it under the picture. You use past perfect and simple past. And this worksheet finally is to give my students opportunity to practice the past perfect topic, past perfect sentences. Here you have to put the sentence and verbs into past, into simple past and past perfect. We have all these questions, and that was how I design and then I create my lesson plan number 13. Thank you so much, teacher. I really enjoy making this video.